Mexico Congressman Gabe Vasquez is with us to talk more about the situation in his state and elsewhere. Thank you for being with us this morning. Let's start there with the humanitarian side of this and these families with young children that are looking for a better life in the U.S. It's hard to reconcile what we're seeing, but tell me what you're experiencing in your state and your communities.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm so proud to represent the 2nd District in New Mexico. It is home to 3 ports of entry. My hometown of Las Cruces is just 35 miles north of the U.S.-Mexico border. And actually, I am uniquely qualified to speak on this issue. I've grown up on both sides of the border and have engaged my colleagues at the Congressional Hispanic Caucus on conversations about proactive solutions to solving our border crisis. Now, what we've seen over the last decade is changing migration patterns. And a lot of that has been driven by misinformation, but also by the economic conditions and the struggles that many communities face in Central America, increasingly Caribbean countries, with terrible, awful violence that has driven people out of their homes and has driven them to seek asylum here legally in the United States. And so we are seeing, of course, unaccompanied minors. We are seeing young mothers with small children. And we are also seeing folks of working age coming here for a better opportunity. You know, I was just in El Paso at Sacred Heart Church 2 months ago, and I was speaking with folks there about the different patterns of migration that they've seen. And this has been happening since about the last 6 months. During Christmas time, I went to help serve meals at one of the immigrant detention or shelter centers. And what we saw there was people desperate for an opportunity, desperate for an answer about their legal status in the United States, and unfortunately not getting the answers that I think that they needed to hear to determine their own futures. And so it is a terrible humanitarian crisis. Folks are sleeping on the streets outside of the shelters. Folks in the winter were sleeping in the cold. You have sick babies. You have folks who are, just seeking clarity on their status here in the United States. And unfortunately, we don't have the resources to be able to process them. That's one of the biggest challenges that we face. We need more immigration judges. We need more certainty in the process for seeking asylum in this country, as well as applying for legal citizenship and residency. And that's a job for both Congress, but also the administration. You know, over the last 2.5 years, we have not had consistent policies from the administration that help us message in those countries of origin how people can come to this country and how they can seek asylum. Every time we move the ball, the game changes, and that allows smugglers and it allows cartels and human traffickers to take advantage of people in very vulnerable situation. I think what you're seeing now with the end of Title 42 is just a product of that inaction. And so I'd like to see more engagement on that front so that folks in their countries of origin know the exact process and aren't relying on the cartels, the smugglers, the coyotes to make the decisions to make that long, awful trek to our border.
This is not a new problem. It certainly feels as though it has gotten worse in the last couple of years. Has the Biden administration been too late to address some of these concerns, especially now on the eve of Title 42 expiring tonight?
You know, I believe that we all have work to do, both in Congress and the administration, to solve this issue once and for all. What I can tell you is after speaking to the 2 mayors of the 2 major border cities in my district, in Las Cruces and Deming, is that there is very strong coordination both between the Customs and Border Protection, Border Patrol, local mayors, and nonprofit organizations and churches to handle this influx of migrants that are coming in after Title 42 or before Title 42 expires. We've done this before. In fact, I was a Las Cruces city councilor when we used an old National Guard armory to house over 200 people every single day in a humanitarian way and an illegal way to be able to assist them with getting to their locations and respond, especially to those young children and those families who are experiencing hardships and had just gone through a long journey. So I am seeing strong coordination between the city of El Paso, Las Cruces, Deming. Hopefully other border communities have the same response. But in my district, I can tell you that we are coordinating. We are preparing for this. We do have the resources and the emergency operations centers in southern New Mexico that can help assist our sister city of El Paso and Ciudad Juarez.
Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas blamed Congress for 2 decades of inaction when he addressed this issue yesterday. How do you respond to that?
Well, look, the truth is that immigration has been used as a political football from both parties on both sides of the aisle. It's very disheartening. It's one of the reasons that I came to Congress, is to propose solutions, bipartisan solutions that work. What we see today from Republicans in H.R. 2 is a bill that is meant to write campaign ads. It's not actually meant to write a comprehensive immigration reform bill that both parties need to agree to. And that's very unfortunate, because I believe we are in a critical moment where Congress should be working together. But unfortunately, Republicans aren't working with Democrats on finding these solutions. There are unfortunately too many bad parts of this bill that Democrats cannot support. And folks like me, who grew up on both sides of the border, understand the realities of what the problems and the issues are. This bill will not solve them. In fact, it will make our immigration system even further broken than it already is.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.